Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to our webinar series, Experts Speak, in association with IABAC, the International Association for Business Analytics Certification. Today, we have with us the founder of IABAC, Mr. Hans Wokers, joining us from the Netherlands, and he will be introducing our speaker for today, Mr. Naman Kothari. Over to you, Mr. Hans.
Thank you, Ram. Hello, everyone. My name is Hans Volkers, founding director of IBEC, and I'm glad to introduce to you our keynote speaker of today. Naman Kothari spearheads the innovation division at the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology, NASSCOM Center of Excellence. With a rich background as a tech evangelist, he brings over a decade of experience in catalyzing digital transformation and nurturing the growth of cutting-edge technologies. Recognized as a leading expert in emerging technologies, he shares his valuable insights on both national and international platforms. He is an alumnus of GB Pant University in Pantnagar, holding a Bachelor of Technology degree in IT and a Master's degree in Management. Throughout his career, Naman has been instrumental in launching and cultivating a multitude of AI initiatives across industries. Ladies and gentlemen, may I present to you Naman Kothari. Please, Naman.
Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Hans, for that wonderful introduction. And at first, I must, applaud you for setting up such an innovative and knowledge sharing platform that I must.
Thank you.
Great way to exchange thoughts, ideas, and inform on the latest tech. So, kudos to you and your team. Right. All right. So let's get started now. Hi, everyone. I'm Naman. I lead the innovation vertical at NASSCOM Center of Excellence, which is India's largest deep tech innovation ecosystem. I'm also, a passionate advocate for AI, well, that you can see from my background, right? And at NASSCOM COE, we are developing cutting edge AI powered use cases, right? If you would like to know more about it, feel free to connect with me on LinkedIn if whatever use case you want to discuss, right? So without further ado, we'll just deep dive into today's topic, which is demystifying deepfakes, which is actually very close to my heart. So today we are diving into the fascinating world of, I would say, deepfakes. I'm sure most of you have already heard of deepfakes, right? But before we get started, let me promise you that we'll have a blast throughout the session, and this is going to be a two-way street. Remember, I'll be sharing some really cool knowledge bombs with you guys, and I would love to have some of the questions. Meanwhile, right, you please feel free to fire away with your questions, suggestions, and any wild idea that you have in the chat box. Please don't be shy, because remember, no question is a bad question. So without further ado, let's jump in, and we'll move to first understanding the basics of deepfake, right? So what are deepfakes? We all have heard the term, but what exactly are they? This isn't just a trendy buzzword that we've been hearing very often now. It's an evolving field that uses AI to create synthetic media, challenging our very perception of reality. So basically, AI is the overarching technology that guides deepfake. AI, in simple terms, or simply put, AI is the big daddy of all these emerging technologies, right? AI is the talk of the town. Now imagine, all right, so let's imagine taking a video of one person and seamlessly replacing the face with someone else's picture. Well, exciting, isn't it? Or picture, political speeches getting a whole new twist. Or even historical figures coming back to life. Imagine Mahatma Gandhi, you sharing words of wisdom with Mahatma Gandhi, right? Or Nelson Mandela, for example, right? All this is possible thanks to the powerful technology behind AI and behind me, AI, right? So these are powerful tools, but with great powers comes great confusion. Let's explore. Now, let me ask you something. If I tell you, or if I ask you, the war between Russia and Ukraine is over, would you believe it? If I tell you that President Putin, Vladimir Putin, just addressed the national media and, called for a ceasefire on national television, would you believe it? Would you believe your eyes? Or if I would say that, there is an AI generated Putin who's actually interviewing the real Putin. Or what if I tell you, in his address to the nation, President Joe Biden shared a story about magical pistachios. Funny, right? All right, already too much, is it? Now, one last. All right, here's a fun twist. Would you believe if I tell you India's Prime Minister, man of words, Narendra Modi, breaking into a dance, into a garba? Would you believe your eyes? But right, you might ask me, where's the proof? Correct? Where's the proof? Right? Well, you please see it with your own eyes.
Дорогие соотечественники, тема моего обращения – ситуация на Украине. Только что прошли переговоры с украинской стороной.
Have I ever told you the story of the magical pistachio? I got lost in the grocery store and couldn't find my way out. But that's when I saw it, a glowing pistachio. It spoke to me and said, "Follow me and I'll lead you to safety."
Владимир Владимирович, здравствуйте. Я студент и учусь в Санкт-Петербургском государственном университете. Хочу спросить, правда ли, что у вас много двойников? И еще, как вы относитесь к тем опасностям, которые несет в нашу жизнь искусственный интеллект и нейросети? Спасибо.
Гражданин из Санкт-Петербурга не представился.
Да. Вот я смотрю, вы можете быть на меня похожи и говорите моим голосом. Но я подумал и решил, что похожим на себя и говорить моим голосом должен только один человек. И этим человеком буду я.
आर्टिफिशियल इंटेलिजेंस कैसे काम कर रहा है, डीप फेक क्या कर सकता है और कितना बड़ा संकट पैदा कर सकता है, और उसमें जो चाहे वो बना सकते हैं जी। मैंने अभी एक वीडियो देखा जिसमें मैं गरबे गा रहा हूं और मैं खुद भी देख रहा क्या बढ़िया बना है।
Well, there you have it, right? A quick Google search will show you all these videos that look almost real, but are entirely fake. These videos are scary good. Just now you saw Prime Minister Modi actually appreciating the deepfake video, right? So these videos are convincingly good, but entirely manipulated. The faces are real, the voices are real, but words, lies, all lies. Now, this is where things get tricky. Deepfakes blurs the line between truth and deception. Now, remember the quote, disinformation isn't about making you believe lies, it's about making you doubt the truth. Deepfakes take this step further. Now, let's say tomorrow you see a video, or let's say you see a video of a political leader making outrageous statement. Now, listen carefully. Even if you know it's a fake video, a seed of doubt is planted. In a world where opinions fly fast, people believe what their narratives fit. This, my friend, is the heart of the issue. Now, today, we'll be diving deep into the technicalities, applications of deepfake. Uncertainty fueled by deepfake can have some serious consequences. For example, well, you all are part of the webinar right now, right? Just take a moment, Google deepfakes under the news section. You will see plenty of food for thought. Remember, a deepfake doesn't need to be true. It just needs to be spread. Someone somewhere will definitely fall for it. Now, this particular tech is scary. This particular application. Now, one thing to remember throughout this session, seeing isn't always believing anymore. Now, let's delve into how deepfakes are made, right? Their potential uses, good, bad, ugly, and the ethical dilemmas there is. To begin with, deepfakes aren't all bad. They have positive applications too. They can bring historical figures to life in films or create, realistic visual effects. In education, in edtech sector, they can create interactive documentaries where viewers can meet famous figures from the past. But the potential for misuse is significant. From spreading false information to compromising personal security, the risks are actually very real. Now, let me take this practical with an exercise. Here is your first assignment to all our attendees, all our tech enthusiasts, all our innovators who have joined us today. Here is your first exercise. Spot the fake. So on the slide, you see 12 images. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right, 10 images, right? Which one do you think, is a deep fake? So you have 10 seconds to think and comment in the chat box, right? Come on, it can't be that difficult. All right. I see your answers coming in. Well, I'll tell you, you are all right in a way, but technically, the correct answer is all these faces are deepfake and artificially generated. Surprise, they all look real, right? That's what deepfakes do. Now, what can be done to mitigate these risks? Have you ever thought of it? Government, tech companies, and researchers are working on developing deepfake tools, setting ethical guidelines for deepfake technology. So within NASSCOM, Center of Excellence, we work with lots of deepfake detection startups who are actually helping government, working with us closely to solve some of the deepfake pain point areas. And during our discussion, we'll discuss some of those methods, how to detect deepfake. But first, let's understand the kind of information that deepfakes possess, right? So there is a common phenomena called mis, dis, and mal. Now let's take a moment to understand the different types of misleading information. So I have a slide here titled Understanding MDM, right? Now first, quickly, won't take much time. This is very basic. Misinformation. So this is a false information that is spread regardless of the intent to share. For example, sharing an outdated news article, thinking it's current, is a misinformation. Again, part of deepfake. Now, disinformation. Now, this is a false information deliberately created to spread to mislead people. For example, a deepfake video that you just saw to deceive viewers into believing something that isn't true. For example, President Putin declaring a ceasefire. That was a disinformation. The third one, and the most dangerous, malinformation. Well, this is the information that is based on reality, but used to inflict harm on a person, organization, or a country. For example, sharing private information publicly to damage someone's reputation. So these are the three key areas across which deepfake information revolves, right? So now we'll quickly move to our next segment, which is deepfake generation. Now, this is very important. Now let's discuss how deepfakes are made. All right. So they rely on a type of AI, right? Again, as I said, AI is an overarching tech called GAN, generative adversarial networks. This is one of the top-notch technology that generates hyper-realistic deepfakes. So these involve two neural networks. We'll study them in the later slides. a generator and a discriminator working against each other. So the job of generator is to create fake images, and discriminator tries to tell which images are fake and which are real. So there is a battle between generator and discriminator all the times, and which eventually leads them to become better. So through this process, the generator actually gets really good at creating realistic images. So I'll go slow, while in the next slides you will actually get to understand how this technology works through a practical example. Now, another core technology, which is my personal favorite, is autoencoders. So these are neural networks that encode input data into low-dimensional representation and then decode it back to its original form. So actually, autoencoders are used to learn the underlying features of faces and objects, enabling the creation of real deepfakes. So you must have heard about applications called face swap. So autoencoder is a technology, the base technology that creates face swap kind of applications, right? And combining these two technologies, which are again autoencoders with power. We will now understand each one of them in more detail and with some interesting examples. For that, take a look at this image. Do you recognize this superhero by any chance? Or have you seen him somewhere? Well, that's Superman. But wait, doesn't his face look a bit familiar? But that's actually my face on Superman's body. Now, how cool is that? So how did we achieve this? This is where autoencoders come into play. Let me break it down for you. We have a source, which is Superman. We have a target, Naman. And then we have the result. So the image illustrates the process of face swapping using autoencoders, which are a typical of neural network. Now, this technique involves encoding and decoding facial images, to swap features between two different faces. That's what you see a bit. So before we dive in, this technology better. Now, let me break it down for you again. So the key element that you can see on the picture is encoders. Now, what are encoders? The first part of the autoencoder is encoder, which compresses the input image. By input image, we mean source image into the system. Now, since face in this case is a input image source image. Now, once you put it into the encoder, into this is actually converted into smaller latent representation. The latent space, as you can see on the screen, captures the essential feature of the face without all the other details. By essential features, I mean eyes, nose, mouth, movement, everything, right? Now you might have noticed a latent space in between. Now, what is latent space? This is the compressed representation, or latent space is where all the magic happens, right? After the picture passes through encoder, it moves into the latent space, and which is a simplified version of the original image that retains crucial features, important features like expression, face structure, and other unique characteristics that needs to be swapped later. Now, the other important parameter is decoder. As you can see, the decoder, takes the latent representation and tries to reconstruct the image back to the original image. But here is a twist. Instead of, reconstructing Superman's face, I swapped my face. Are you getting the point, right? I'll explain it again in a more simplified term. So the decoder, what happens, it generates an image with my facial features mapped onto the Superman's body. The result, a superhero version of me, ready to save the world. Now, let's understand the top part of the image. Original faces, face A and face B, as you can see, source and the destination are the original faces, right? figure A and figure B. Now, what happens once figure A, which is Superman, goes into encoder, then that face is compressed and the facial image is turned into a latent representation. The encoder actually extracts the essential feature of each face. Got it? So once the essential features of a face are extracted, it gets stored in the latent representation, right? Latent space. Now, what actually latent space do? Latent space immediately compress the image and they actually capture the important feature needed to reconstruct the face. Correct? Now, once the face is reconstructed, the output from the decoders are reconstructed to the original faces. Now, I understand it might be a little confusing, but notice one interesting thing over here. We have two encoders, right? Two same encoders, but different decoders. So I'll tell you now let's go to the bottom part of the image, encoding original as in the top part. Now, instead of using decoder A, the latent representation of the face that you can see over here is fed into decoder B, which is trained to reconstruct my face. So it has all the essential features of my face, but it has been assigned or it has been given the command to put the face into the Superman's body, right? So this is where all the magic happens. Now the upper part demonstrates the standard encoder process where each face is encoded using the encoded and decoding technique. And the lower part shows you the face swapping process. And I would say autoencoders are incredibly powerful, because they can learn the underlying features of faces and objects, allowing us to, create these realistic and sometimes hilarious transformations. So the example, shows how AI can both be fun and fascinating. But, one thing that we should also remember is while it's fun to play around with face swapping techniques and methods, which are freely available, by the way, on the internet. So creating superhero version of ourselves, at times might not be handy because it's crucial to also use these technology responsibly. The same tool that creates entertaining content can also be misused, right? So ethical considerations are always important. And before we also understand more applications, we'll also quickly go through the other core tech involved in this deepfake generation process, which is GAN, Generative Adversarial Network. Now, this is one of the smartest technology built to generate deepfakes. So let's understand the architecture and training process of a generative adversarial network. So these are fascinating concepts in deepfake learning, as I've always, as I've said it many times. Now here is a breakdown of their foundation and working. As you can see, or let me tell you one example. Imagine a scenario where you have two rivals. Now listen carefully. You have two rivals, an artist. You can call that artist a generator, and an art critic, or you can call that art critic a discriminator. The artist keeps trying to create forgeries of famous painting. And the critic's job, which is in this case discriminator, his job is to identify fakes. Once again, so the artist is creating the fake images, right, of the painting, and the critic, who is the discriminator, the critic that we have hired, his role is to identify those fake images. As the artist, by creating fake after fake images, keeps getting better at, forgeries, the critic has to sharpen their skill to distinguish between them. Now, this ongoing competition improves both. So this is the core tech that GAN has. One of them keeps creating fake images, the other discriminator has to identify fake image, and each one of them has to get better to create fake image and to detect fake image. Similarly, a GAN has two neural networks, as you can see, generator and discriminator. Now, please see that chart on the slide. So generator act like an artist, as we discussed. It takes random noise. By noise, we mean random input as an input, and tries to generate data like images, text, right? Could be anything that resembles real data from training data set. Now, the role of the discriminator is to act like a critic, like I said. It receives both real data and the generated data from the generator. Now, the discriminator job is to determine whether the data is real or fake. And this is an ongoing process till the engine improves. Now, let's understand the training process quickly, right? I understand it could be a little technical, but it's easy if we just clears the basic. So training process, the generator starts by creating poor forgeries like fake data. The discriminator easily identifies the fake, that's clear. Now, based on the discriminator feedback, the generator refines its approach to create more realistic forgeries. For example, the critics has just given the feedback that the fake image that you have just created has been identified, detected. Based on the input from the discriminator, the generator will improve and create even better fake image, right? So this is the process that continues with generator getting better at creating real data and discriminator better at spotting fakes. So, in technical terms, this is called a zero-sum game. The training process is actually a zero-sum game. The generator's success is measured by its ability to fool the discriminator, while the discriminator success is measured by its ability to correctly identify real and fake data. Now, what is the outcome of all this exercise? Ideally, after extensive training, the generator becomes smart at creating realistic data that the discriminator struggles to identify from real data. So ultimately, generator has to become smart, has to outsmart the discriminator through all this exercise. Let's take an example. Imagine training a GAN network or a GAN on a data set of cat images. The generator would create a new image of cat that looks real, even though they haven't seen those specific cats before, right? So now, it's a very broad field. If you wish to explore further, then there are many variation of GANs, used for different tasks like image to image translation, text translation, text generation, and more. So you can explore these, variations and delve deeper into technical aspects of GAN to get a better understanding. So these were basics. Now that we have had some fun with deepfakes, it's crucial, to talk about how we can detect them, how we can identify them. And because identifying deepfake is becoming increasingly important both for the individual perspective and from the organization perspective. So let's dive into some practical and programmatic methods. I mean, those are coding methods for spotting these synthetic media. All right. Now, how do you detect deepfakes? So there are two approaches. Broadly, there are two approaches to detect deepfake. Practical cues. These are observational techniques that can be used by anyone to spot deepfakes. And how can you spot deepfake? We'll go through some of the examples in the next slide. So the first one is inconsistent facial movements. One of the first thing to look for a deepfake video is unnatural, inconsistent facial movements. Real human face moves in a specific way when talking or expressing emotions, and deepfakes can sometimes fail to replicate that movement accurately. Right. And the next would be unnatural eye blinking. You must have observed in the videos that we saw previously, there were a pattern that you might have noticed. There were some unnatural eye blinking, right? So this is what deepfake videos usually do. The other one is audio-visual mismatch. At times, lip syncing are not very apt, not very perfect, not very clear. The audio doesn't perfectly sync with the visuals. So that is your, go-to thing while detecting deepfake. This can be a clear indicator that the video has been manipulated. The other is abnormal skin texture. Real human skin has pores, wrinkles, and variation in skin texture. However, the skin in the deepfake videos are fairly smooth, right? Or uniform. It might be a deepfake, right? And also background inconsistencies, right? Background, you might observe some inconsistencies in the background. Sometimes the background might not move correctly with the person, head or body. There might be unnatural, lighting or shadows. So these are some, methods that as an individual you can detect deepfakes, right? Now let's understand how you can detect deepfakes through softwares, programs, coding techniques, right? Programmatic methods. So these are more technical techniques used by experts to detect deepfakes. We work on some of these models for some specific use cases related to banking, finance, right? Manufacturing, automation. So the first one is deep learning algorithm. As I said, advanced machine learning models can be trained to, detect subtle artifacts in the videos and images. GAN, as I said, GAN is a powerful tool and actually also helps in detecting deepfakes. They can help in generating hyper-realistic deepfakes, but can also play an important role in detecting deepfakes. Digital forensics, now these are being used heavily to detect deepfakes. Blockchain and metadata analysis is another technique. This is very technical. I won't go dig deep into it. This can, help track the origin and modification history of the digital content. If the digital content has ever been altered, if you have, played around the content, then through blockchain and metadata analysis, you can actually tell the owner that this video has actually been played around. And then there are various AI detection tools. So my point is, by combining these practical and programmatic methods, we can become better at spotting deepfakes. It's important, to stay vigilant, because having said that, in the next 6 months or next year, you will see more such cases of deepfakes coming in, right? So it's important to use all the available tools to verify the authenticity of deepfakes. And having said that, we have all covered a lot about deepfakes, but do you know these are actually helpful, and we have both positive and negative applications of deepfake, right? Some of those you already know, right? So actually deepfakes, simply put, holds immense potential to, transform various fields. We've been there, we have done that. We are working very closely with all the leading enterprises on different use cases. So we have seen deepfakes actually bringing transformation in industries. But having said that, there are also drawbacks of deepfakes, right? On one hand, they can, transform entertainment and media by creating, stunning visuals, recreating historical figures. Now imagine one of your favorite historical figure getting back to life, talking to you, interacting to you, educating you, teaching you, right? So this is actually true. And, producing personalized contents for you that captivates audience. So I would say in education, deepfake can do wonders. Deepfake can bring history to life, make learning more interactive, immersive, engaging. And in the medical field, realistic simulations is one of the important use case. Realistic simulations created with deepfake technology actually can enhance the training of healthcare professionals, potentially saving lives. Having said that, as you can see, positive, negative, right? The darker side of deepfakes cannot be ignored. They can actually be, weaponized to spread misinformation, create fake news, and propagate harmful propaganda, leading to social discord and undermining public trust that we have seen. This is an election season. You must have seen lots of deepfake videos of some of the politicians doing rounds, right? So malicious actors, are everywhere. They can exploit deepfakes to fabricate compromising videos or audio recordings, damage reputations, committing financial frauds, and inciting political instability. Therefore, we have to understand that deepfakes are a double-edged sword, right? Presenting both incredible opportunities and serious ethical, legal, and security challenges, right? Now, to harness the positive potential of the technology while mitigating its risks, we must strive a balanced approach. Now, this involves developing robust technologies, promoting digital literacy. This is one of the modern medium led by hands, right? And encouraging responsible use of deepfakes. So only by fostering a culture of, ethical innovation, we can leverage the power of deepfakes for good, creating a future where, tech enhance our life without compromising our video. or video, or let's say any content, right? All right, enough said. Now it's time to actually get into some real practical examples. Hold on to your hats, everyone. I have a special treat for you. This is a bonus slide that takes learning to the next level. Well, deepfakes aren't just for Hollywood anymore. They are making waves in the learning world, as I said. EdTech is one of the biggest areas wherein deepfake can do wonders. So this next segment, features a little something I called deepfake magic. Yes, you heard that right. My voice and image have cleverly crafted by AI. As I told you, AI is an overarching technology. AI to bring you a crash course in technology called hyperspectral imaging. So in the next 60 seconds, you will learn about a new technology through a 60-second video, which is all synthetically and artificially generated. So get ready to be amazed by the power of deep learning. Let's see the video.
These drones don't just fly, they help us better understand our planet. How? Let's find out. This is drone-based hyperspectral technology. Hyperspectral imaging captures light across a wide range of waves much beyond what the human eye can see.
A normal camera can only see 3 colors: red, green, and blue. You'd be surprised to know that this hyperspectral camera can detect hundreds of colors. These colors give us specific information, such as soil health, crop condition, and even pollution levels. This technology is very beneficial for our farmer. It helps them monitor their crops more accurately, spot diseases early, and improve yield. Scientists also use this data to track environmental changes, conserve natural resources, and predict disasters. So next time you see a drone, remember, it's not just flying, it's revolutionizing how we understand our world.
Now, that's the power of deep learning in action. Just imagine the possibilities for clear, concise communication and engaging presentations. What you just saw, I use a freely available ecosystem of tools to create this 60-second crash course on hyperspectral imaging. The process involved voice cloning, script generation, image to video conversion, and some light lip syncing tools, all freely available on internet. Now, what I did, I added some animation, graphics, subtitles, and B-roll footage to further enhance the experience. The entire process, took me about an hour. Now, this rapid turnaround time highlights the growing need and ease of use of deepfake learning tools. Now, what are the key takeaway? The key takeaway is the technology is getting better, smarter. Now, it's up to us to how to be, use it responsibly and creatively in how we leverage its capabilities, right? So with this, we'll move to, in the interest of time, we'll quickly move to our last slide of the day. As we, draw to a close to our journey into the world of deepfakes, let's take a moment to, appreciate the picture on the last slide. Isn't that mongoose just adorable? Look at that little guy, so curious about the world. Maybe that's the kind of curiosity we all need when it comes to navigating the digital landscape. Deepfakes, with their power to mimic reality, have opened new frontiers in entertainment, education, and technology. They represent the pinnacle of human ingenuity, demonstrating what we can achieve when we push the boundaries of artificial intelligence, very important, and machine learning. Yet, with great powers come great responsibilities. The very technology that fascinates us also possesses significant ethical, legal, and security challenges. So be very careful while using it. You will see n number of freely available tools on the internet. Just play around them, get your hands dirty with them, and design a constructive project with it. From the spread of misinformation to the erosion of trust in the digital media, the potential for misuse cannot be ignored, as I said. And it is also, a sobering reminder that technology advancement must be accompanied by vigilant safeguards and ethical considerations. Right now, there are not so in place ethical list of documents or set of documents that the deepfake companies can look into. But moving forward, the government and other institutions are planning to bring in some guidelines on how to use deepfakes. And at the end, in the demystifying world of deepfakes, our topic is demystifying deepfakes. We have to explore their origins, understood their technical underpinnings, and examine the diverse application that we just discussed. We have also confronted the challenges they present and discussed the tool and strategies to discuss and mitigate their potential harms. So as we move forward, just like this, Mongoose, the balance between the innovation and security becomes paramount by fostering a culture of responsible innovation and continuous vigilance, which is very important. We can harness the positive potential of deepfakes while protecting all the risk that comes along with it. All right, so let's embrace the future with an informed perspective, ready to leverage the wonders of deepfake technology for the greater good. There is more to come. This is just the tip of the iceberg. All right, and while we remain steadfast in our commitment to truth, integrity, and security, on that note, I would like to end today's note and would be happy to take some of the questions.
Hey, thanks, Naman. My team will work on looking at the chat and seeing if they come up with questions. But in meanwhile, can you yourself, try to bring up some typical questions people ask you when they encounter, this kind of challenges in deepfakes, right? You can just, bring up some questions which people ask you in general, and then if you can answer them, right? My team will work on the digging up the chat.
Sure. So quickly, I'll tell you, one of the most common question or one of the most common query that we often face is, what is this, how does the future of deepfakes look like, right? So I'll tell you, the future is fascinating, provided you use it wisely. And if I have to, answer it again, I would say the future is scary if you don't use it wisely, right? So using this top-notch technology, so in India, we have a concept of neo-banking. By neo-banking, in the banks, within the banks, if you have to open your bank account, you have to do a KYC, which means know your customers, right? Now, under the neo-banking use case, the customers need not have to necessarily go to bank. They can initiate the KYC. They can do the KYC through a virtual call also. So the banks reached out to us with a problem statement that they are now facing with the advent of deepfakes. They told us that we have seen a rise in fake accounts. So people are actually doing fake KYC by using deepfakes of the those who don't exist. So now this is one of the problem statement areas that we're working along with some of our startups who are working on deepfake detection, on how to detect video KYC done through deepfake, right? We just saw some of the examples of how do we detect it through programming techniques. Again, we can also do it on our individual level, but the scope is limited. So yes, Ram, coming back to your question, there are many use cases with, in the last, I would say 6-7 months, there has been some new use cases that have emerged around the consequences of deepfakes that we are trying to solve along with some of our startups.
Yeah, okay. I have a question myself, Naman. In terms of like what we see with OpenAI, who have started this tool called, prompt generated video content generating thing called Sora. It has not been released as yet, because that kind of opens up a Pandora box of deepfakes, right? Because people can generate videos just based on prompts. So are governments taking any measures in terms of kind of watermarking such content and making sure that people really know that, what they are seeing is actually deepfakes? Like people at the government level, are they looking at such, handling such issues with companies,
right?
AI companies?
Right. So that's actually a good question, and we are also working on it. So I'll tell you, there are two methods right now. One that you just rightly pointed out, watermarks. Any deepfake video that goes out through a proper portal has to be watermarked as a deepfake or a artificially generated video. Number two, let's say a use case called text to video. You put some prompt and then you get a video out of it, right? Now there has been a certain set of keywords that have been released, right, that avoids generating a video. For example, you cannot generate a video of a political figure dancing on the roof. For example, you cannot give a prompt command to a system, to an AI engine, any abusive command. So the system has been made that intelligent to detect those abusive keywords and actually tell the user that I cannot, actually turn these prompt into a video. So these are some of the keywords of the database or the repository of keywords that have been prepared. And having said that, watermarks are always there.
Thanks, Naman. Hridansh, can you see if at all there are any questions you can present
Yes.
to Naman?
So yeah, we have a really great
I
engagement.
saw one question.
So we have actually accumulated all the questions, and we have been seeing all the engagement coming in from the participants today. One great question came in as to how accessible. I mean, we went through this in your webinar, but how accessible is this technology, right, to create deepfakes? I mean, of course, you said it took you about 1 hour to create videos, but how accessible and user-friendly tools out there are? I mean, do we require any specific knowledge, or anybody could look into it and make deepfakes? That's one great question coming in from the participant.
Well, that's a smart question. All right. So I would say you just need a smart understanding of what you have to do with all the ecosystem of tools that are freely available. So coming back to a specific question, no, hardcore tech skills required. Even a layman can go play around these tools and actually develop some fine-tuned hyper-realistic output, right? So these are very easy to use. Having said that, I'll again press on that part that we all have to use it very responsibly, very sensibly, right? But yes, we all can use it. It's just a matter of time that you need to explore some of the tools freely available. There are some premium versions also, but for a basic need of yours, you can you can do away with some of the freely available tools. Also, I would like to take one question from Robert. He has asked, how can it be used in marketing in different languages, same voice without being multilingual? Well, Robert, this is exactly the use case that we are solving. This is a copy paste use case that we have seen since last 2 years. We've been working on this. So I don't know if you follow a sport called cricket, right? Right now, there is a cricket World Cup taking place in US, right? So there are different countries who participate in this game, right? So through a deepfake technology, through a through a hyper-realistic imaging technology, what we have done is, or what the software has done is, so the appeal from the players to their fans has been converted into different languages. That's what your question is, and has been marketed across different countries to come promote, support the sport. And in India also, we have seen various commercial various advertisements and various commercial products using this particular language translation, multilingual language translation, face swapping applications to, to put in words into some famous personalities, famous popular figures, and to sell some of their commercials with due approval and due consent, of course. So yes, it has a great scope, and marketing could be one of the prime use case for deepfakes.
Do you see any more questions yourself in the chat?
I do see one another really good question in context to current understanding. Are there any legal or ethical frameworks that are currently in place to address the risk of deepfakes, if there are currently, active?
Right. So right now, to answer your question, right now, no, we don't have any, legal as in legally framed document that, the deepfake companies can go through. Yes, there are certain set of documents that have been released by different institutions, but no such hardcore legal document that or legal process that the deepfake companies need to follow. And quickly, I see a very funny question. One of the attendee has asked, is the person or is Naman speaking over there, is he real or fake? Well, this one is real. The other one that I saw, that one was fake. So I'm the real one.
Okay, we'll go ahead with last two questions, and then we'll try to wrap it up. First being, can deepfakes be used for training simulations? If yes, I mean, we would want to hear your thoughts on that.
Definitely, they are being actually used in simulation. So we have a center in Bangalore, right? Please be our guest whenever you are in Bangalore, right? So we have a startup over there who is working on simulator, right? And they are actually working on the exact same use case. They have just set up their office in Belgium as well, right? So the use case is again using deepfake to train the engine better so that the doctors can actually, get a real look and feel of how the surgeries can be done. So yes, this has been being practiced and this has been used. And what was the other question? Sorry, I could not hear it.
The other question was basically how do GANs work, which I believe you already covered in the whole webinar today. But yeah,
Right,
if you could
right,
just
right.
summarize if you would want to, but I would suggest our participant to go through the recordings that would be available on YouTube pretty soon. Wrapping it up, thanks a lot, Mr. Naman, for joining us today. Thanks a lot for all the attendees for joining us and for your engagement. I would request you to visit iabac.org to become an authorized training partner with IABAC. And we will keep you all posted on all our upcoming events by email and across all our social media channels. So we are looking forward to connecting with you all pretty soon. Thanks a lot again, very much for attending today's session. Have a nice day ahead, and we'll wrap this session off. Thanks a lot. Thanks a
Thank
lot,
you so
Naman.
much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Hans.
Yeah, thanks, Naman. Thank you. Really appreciate taking time out.
Yeah.
Thank you. Have a good day.